All righty then. Welcome, 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 everybody. I am Dr. Venus, your hot mess millionaire, and today we are going in on Black men and white supremacy. Girl, bro, my peoples. This is something. All right. So you might let me just go ahead and get a pen and pad, get some water, some bourbon. I mean, like, get some Patron or some tea or some Zen or some Buddha or something, right? Because this is a conversation that is not a game, and so it's an important one. It's been coming up. It's been in the background ever since George Floyd was publicly executed. Right. And then if you look at all of the resistance to holding police accountable and all the Karens that have revealed themselves, then it gets back to white supremacy. But I want to go through a particular vein in terms of really relating to Black men. So as we jump in, a couple of things. Please go ahead and subscribe, share, tag, um, you know, push it out. All right. This is a big deal, and not only is the talk going to be important, but also I put together a really beautiful set of resources that I just think are just lovely. Okay, and I'm not going to go through all of them because I'm trying to. Yeah, this time I only did 10. But I mixed in some articles with some really important books and some movies and a couple of pieces of poetry from yours truly. Okay. And there's one piece that I wanted to include, but I couldn't get it in and I didn't know how to. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with that particular piece of writing. Now, I wrote this. I'm an artist, so I'm sensitive about my stuff. So be nice to me. But it gives you a context of really contending with loving Black men who wear the wounds of, of white supremacy, slavery, bigotry, racism as emotional armor. Okay. And so I'm gonna start with this just to set the emotional context. And then I'm gonna go into a historical sharing about white supremacy and Black masculinity. Okay, about two very important historical wounds. All right. And then I think I'm gonna wrap up with how do you love them? How do you love a Black man who's wounded and doesn't even know he's wounded because of the history of slavery? Okay, so those are the three things I want to get done today. My intention is to begin the conversation. If I need to, I will create a series just on this topic, dealing with Black men, white supremacy, and substance abuse, Black men, white supremacy, and violence, Black men and white supremacy, and child rearing. I'm just thinking about it. Don't get attached. It's just something that's present because I'm really being with Black men and the history of violence on their bodies. Okay. So this is a piece I wrote and it's called Please. Okay. And this is what it says. I actually changed this. Give me a second, y'all. I'm being an artist about shit right now. I'm annoyed as fuck because I can't get things to go the way I want them to go. I'm surrendering. Okay, I'm back. Okay. Okay. Loving you is like walking barefoot, naked through a minefield, holding my breath. But I love you too much to not try. I'm scared to call, to text, scared to try. I stare at your phone on my I stare at your photo on my iPhone. I trace your lips with my fingertips dripped in tears. I know you hurt. I know how you had to work 10 times as hard as tobacco spitting, gun toting, golf playing white executives, staff, janitors who talk down to you, even though you are their superior in so many ways. I know it makes you feel less because I make more. I know you are too proud to say you are sorry. I understand that saying you're sorry equals loss of power and control. I get it. I have kissed your bruised and battered heart for generations. I was the one who tended to the whips that ripped open your back when Massive beat you within an inch of your life. I was the one who didn't cry out when they took turns. I didn't want to shame you, It was me. It was always me. I am crystal clear that my wound of needing to be heard and your wound of needing to be respected created a violence that is 400 years old, perfected. They pitted us against each other. They made you hurt me or die. Each time you stood up for me, they knocked you to your knees. They had you call their children sir and miss, belittling your manhood. They made you father children with your sisters, aunts, daughters to work their fields. Of course you're hurt. Of course you're wounded. Of course you are an emotional mystery, even to yourself. I know. And I still need you. I need you to make it through this life. I cannot do this life without you. Please, baby. Please. I need you whole. So this is where we're starting. That piece is called Please. We're starting there. We're starting there because there is a historical wound that Black men have that is rooted in the history of white supremacy from 1619 to 2020 that shapes how they relate and react to us, to Black women, to the people who love them. And I'm not just talking romantic. It could be your son, your uncle, your father, a vendor, a peer, a colleague, a friend. And this is the wound I want to walk you through, okay? And this is to walk this slow with me, okay? So, historically, if you think about the plantation household in the antebellum South with chattel slavery, there were 4 players: massa, mistress, maid, and slave. White man, white woman, Black man, Black woman. And that institution was rooted in survival. Okay, literally, if the weather went a certain way, people got dead. If the crops didn't come through, people got dead. And because of the violence of the institution of slavery, there was always this unspoken fear that because there were more slaves than there were mistress and master, that there would be an uprising. Okay, so which made white people more vicious because of that fear. And we see it today. Okay. The idea of, well, we've done them so bad that if the tables were turned, they would do the same to us. And you see that get played out. Or there's more than them than us that gets played out. And so there's this extreme force. Okay, that's a historical thing. So, but I want to slow it down to break it down because I need you to understand something very, very specific. Okay. I'm just trying to figure out, God, help me enter. I just want to enter soft because I'm a little hot today. I'm just a little hot today. God, help me enter soft. Please help me. Okay. So, God, please. White supremacy is an ideology that's embodied in white people as a power dynamic to keep Black people in a certain social position so white people know themselves as alive. Okay. Now, that is a theoretical framework. If I slow it down to break it down, what I'm simply saying is this: white people need a slave in order to know themselves as a master. A mistress needs a maid in order for her to know herself as a mistress. A bottom needs a top in order for it to know itself as a top. You can't have white without Black. You can't have high without low. You can't have inside without outside. It doesn't exist. And that's not wordplay. If you look in your own lived experience, have you ever noticed that until something's brought to your awareness, it becomes like a distinction. You don't see it. It's sort of like when you buy a car. Let's say you buy a red car. And once you buy a red car, you start to see all these other red cars that's been there all the time. Okay. But until it became real for you, you didn't see it. Oh, thank you for that. I love you for someone that's gave me hearts. Okay. And so what I just gotta slow it down. You gotta stay with me. I gotta build this. All right. So whiteness cannot exist without black. All right. It can't exist. So I'm not even going to deal with the violence, to deal with the identity formation, just in case y'all don't know. My identity theorist can't help it. It comes out this way. White supremacy is self-reflective, meaning it only talks to itself. Black men, black masculinity was the biggest threat, is the biggest threat. How about that? To white supremacy. And let me tell you why. A couple of reasons. One is this: black masculinity is almost like the equal antithesis of white supremacy. Okay? So it's almost like being in a fight with yourself, and whoever wins is the victor. Okay? Because otherwise there would not be any consciousness. You wouldn't be able to see yourself, right? So it's sort of like, in plain terms, it's sort of like when you're in love with somebody and they're good to you, you feel fucking great. You're like, oh my God, I'm so cool. I am so hot. I am so sexy, because you see yourself because they saw you. Does that make any sense? I need y'all to walk this real slow with me, okay? Let me know this is communicating. Talk to me. It's, if you think about when you fall in love with somebody, it's their reflection of you that lets you know that you're lovable. That is part of why it's such a big deal when people fall in love, right? Same thing with whiteness. It's like, okay, if I don't have a slave, I am nothing. I don't exist. I ain't shit, because of the way this country was founded. All right. Now, white supremacy and black men, I could have said black masculinity, but I want to hold off for a minute on that one. Black men, their sense of self. Now, walk this real slow. All right. And for all the brothers who are listening, hear me out. I'm not trying to put something on you. I want to show you something. Okay. And for all my sisters who are going to try to repeat this to black men, let them listen to it, because it's a complicated conversation until it gets plain. All right. Okay. So black men as an identity. Now, I want y'all to be clear. I'm not talking about his body. I'm not talking about his ability to produce. I'm talking about his sense of self. Just like a father identifies as father, that's his identity. If a man takes on father, you can't stop him from being father. Do you understand? That is who he is. It's like, you mess with my kid, I'm going to jail. There's nothing else to talk about. You know what I'm saying? And so I want you to skip this. So when I talk about identity theory, I'm talking about how you know yourself, who you are for you. And no one can convince you otherwise. Okay. You can't make somebody who's a mom not see herself as a mom, and she'll organize her entire life, where she lives, the zip code, so her kid can go to a certain kind of school. The same thing with fathers. So when I talk about black male identity, I'm talking about who he is for himself. Now, walk this real slow. Because of white supremacy, because of the institution of North American chattel fucking slavery, because of that institution, black male identity is filtered through white supremacy. Okay? This is not about choice. It's about survival. It is filtered through white supremacy. So what that looks like is this. Black men measure their sense of self based in white measures: provision, protection, and procreation. Okay? So if a black man is a slave watching a white man who can take care of his family at a certain standard, that becomes the standard. I'm not suggesting it's not necessarily true. It's a survival strategy. Okay. And so if a black man's identity is based in how he sees a white man do power, his relationship to power is going to get skewed. It's going to get skewed toward violence, because that is what his identity is being born through generationally, not just one person, not just one time, generationally. Okay. And so if he sees himself as not that, then his aspiration is to become that. Now I want you to hear what I mean by that. How that looks in present tense is, I want to make sure Black men identify themselves through money. They identify themselves through how their women see them. They identify themselves through their stature or how many children they can have. And that's not a judgment. If you were trained to be a buck, to procreate, be very clear that didn't leave just because the system changed. That's how you got to see yourself. Okay. So if that's the case, in terms of Black masculinity or a Black man, his sense of self is always centered outside of him. I don't know if you can hear that, but his sense of self is centered outside of him. I'll give you a current example. Okay. Recently, well, by the time that you hear this, it won't be recent, it'll be old. Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith did a red table about an entanglement that Jada had with a younger man. Okay. And they were separated. It wasn't something hidden. It wasn't something like, it wasn't like an affair. It was, if anyone's ever been separated in that window of space, there's a different kind of rules. There are different rules at play, right? And they had those different rules at play. Anyway, it got out for whatever reason, and they decided to confront it. They decided to talk about it. So they got to the red table, and Jada said her piece, and Will listened, and you can see on his face that he's going through. I mean, God have mercy, he's going through. All right. But if you listen to, he said one thing that I want to bring your attention to. It was the last sentence he said before they signed off. They said whatever they said, blah, blah, blah. He said what he said, blah, blah, blah. And his last sentence to her was, "How am I doing as a husband?" And she said, "Fucking amazing." But this is what I need you to hear. His sense of self, his self-recognition was through the eyes of his wife. Do y'all understand that? Like, it came through, it's sort of like what I'm trying to help you understand around slave and master dialectic. Who he is externally located. So he's a good husband by virtue of her saying so. Okay. What I'm pointing to is this: Black men have historical wounds that are so rooted in white supremacy that it's invisible for them to see, because it looks like it's a character trait. It's sort of like the idea that Black women are strong. No, that's a survival strategy rooted in North American slavery. No, you don't come out the womb strong. You know what I'm saying? So Black men, in terms of white supremacy, their sense of self is located outside of them. So if they don't feel like they are providing properly, that means something about them, not the system. It means they have failed. Do you understand the difference? Like, if it's me, then it's all right. And if you think about not being able to protect, historically they were not able to protect us because they would get dead, or we would get dead, or sold, or what have you. That is a grave disappointment in terms of who he is as a human being, because he could not take care of that which is what he calls his own. Okay, that's a historical wound. That's not a personal wound to him. That is a cultural consciousness wound. That's not this us. It's not just him. It's like, it's way up here, right? It's a cultural consciousness wound. It's a wound in the consciousness of what it means to be a Black man, right? If a Black man sees himself as someone who is disrespected, and I may have to do a whole talk on this one, but I want to walk it slow. There's a wound. There are two wounds at play between Black men and Black women that are rooted in the history of slavery. And that is this: Black women have a historical wound around being heard. Black men have a historical wound around being respected. These two wounds, when they interact, you're no longer there. So when a Black woman feels like she's not heard, she talks more. She may flex a bit. She may get loud. She may have to have the last word. Okay. The more she speaks up, the more he feels like she's talking down. Did you catch that? And because language fails us, Black women, the language we use, because we have to, because our survival is rooted around speaking up for ourselves, it lands as accusatory. Okay, because historically we have it, and to be great, it's not an invalid thing. We have it that they didn't take care of us. Now, I want you to be clear. When we say that as a historical wound, okay, when we say it, we're speaking it. These I'm gonna say us, me, out of me, I, me, my, me, and my, right? It comes out like an accusation. Do you understand? Because in our favor to be heard, we're no longer listening to the wound. Do you see what I'm saying? It becomes an attack, not because we're attacking, we're trying to prove a fucking point. We're trying to say some shit. We're trying to get our point across. We're trying to have them hear us. That's all we're trying to do. But in the favor of it, our language gets very much rooted in you. You didn't do this. You didn't say that. Da, 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 da. And in his world, it lands like a verbal beatdown. Now, keep in mind, historically, that's what the fuck happened. He had verbal fucking beatdowns as long as the physical ones trying to take care of us and getting dead. Okay. So when it comes out of a Black woman's mouth who loves him, he's triggered back to he back black on the plantation. You know what I'm saying? He ain't even in this. He ain't even in this room. Do you understand? He's not present at all. He's gone. You know, and vice versa. When we get that, when we have that feeling of you're not hearing me, we escalate. At least I know I do. You may not be. You may be a better woman than me, but I can tell you like this: I got an edge on me, and you fuck me the right way, I promise you, I will flex. It's in me. I'm okay with that. I can own it and I can be responsible for it. I'm not saying it's going to go away. I'm not even saying it's a bad thing, but I understand where it comes from. I was born into that. So if you don't understand that respect for Black men has to do with an external locus of sense of self, you will think it's ego. And it's not. Ego is such a simple, it's so, in my opinion, it's such a dismissive language around the sense of self. That would like saying to a parent, to a mom, a Black mother whose child had been hurt, oh, you're overreacting. Oh, she's just high maintenance. You fuck with her kid, you'll see high maintenance. You see what I'm saying? Because you simplify it by ego. If a person's sense of self is externally located and someone steps on his shoes, it's not the shoe you're stepping on him. You're stepping on him. That's a real thing. And now and blame it on the streets of me. Look, I'm a street girl and proud of it. Okay. And I know enough Black men who have gotten shot in fights and all kinds of negativity over people disrespecting their shoes, because it's not the shoe. It's who he is. Whatever he had to pay for that, whatever he had to go through, that is a point of pride. It's him showing you that he's worthy, that he's got his shit together, that he's worth something. That's an external locus of identity. That's an external locus of validation, of sense of self. And that's all a historical wound. And as a Black woman, if you don't get yourself oriented to understand that you're dealing with a fucking wound that's 400 years perfected, you're going to take it personal. That was preach, God. Should I say it again? I don't know. Let's see. If you don't understand that when he flexes because he feels disrespected, because of a tone, because of a word, because of whatever. I mean, literally, and I want you to know, it's like walking through a fucking minefield. So I'm with you. I'm here for it with you. Rest assured. Okay. Then you're not going to understand that he's not reacting to you, and you'll take it personal and you'll get hurt. You'll feel like, oh, I'm so betrayed. Oh, how could he do this to me? He's not doing it to you. How can I say this? God, help me. Help me. Help me, God. Please help me. Every time someone gets triggered, I have PTSD, for those who don't know, all right? So my PTSD is a street thing. I I shake, I have physical reactions when I get triggered. All right. And because I've done the internal excavation to really tend to my well being, I know I'm triggered. Even if I can't stop the trigger, I know I'm triggered. And part of my trigger is you are against me. You are trying to take me out. You, you are a danger. Okay, that's that's how it lands in my physical body. Now it may not be true, but it feels very true to me. Now I'm 30 years in the game, okay? And I got the grades to prove it. I still get triggered. And I have a therapist, I have support structures, I have committed listeners, I have practices around me to tend to my wounds. Okay? Most Black men don't know they're wounded. They just think they're mad. They just think life's unfair. You see what I'm saying? It's like this, and to be fair, society hasn't made space for Black men to be self-reflective except for in jail. That's the only time they get a chance to be self-reflective, when they're not defending conduct or protecting themselves. They can be self-reflected in their jail cell. Okay. So part of what I want to bring to you is this: white supremacy has impacted Black men in a way that is different than it has Black women. I'm not suggesting worse, better or worse, but I want you to be aware of both sides, but specifically his side right now. Okay. And I'll tell you this: the most violated, abused, tormented body in human history is the Black male body, not the Black female body. It's the Black male body. Okay. It's a historical thing. You can look it up, do your thing with it. All right. So, what I'm proposing we do as Black women, and I want y'all to hear me on this, and you ain't gotta, but it's worth talking about. All right. I believe in my heart of hearts that the more Black women heal, the less we react to Black men's triggers. That's been my life. I've had and still continue to have a beautiful group of Black men who love me. And I mean, across the board, and I'm not, and to be clear, we fight. Rest assured, we have opinions. Oh God. Okay. But what I want you to hear is I have made it my business to empower the Black men in my life. Now, this takes some fucking doing, y'all, because they are, in my opinion, they're emotional walking landmines that don't even know they're landmines. And I have to not react when they get triggered because they don't even know they're triggered. That is how little self-reflection they've been able to have. When I watched Will Smith and Jay-Z, both of them were willing and they were with women, notice that shit, who, unlike Kanye West, God bless us all, with women who loved them enough to help them understand that emotionally they were fucked. Okay? And because they were willing to stay in the conversation, even when it was hard, even when I mean, Lemonade broke my heart. Remember when Beyonce did Lemonade? I'm like, damn, shit. And then Jay-Z broke my heart in a beautiful way when he did 444. But do you understand how much work they did together to do that shit? Do you understand? And so, and they were, and the same thing with Will and Jada, and they have my respect for that. To be willing to do the emotional looking and going in and telling the truth and letting someone see your fears and your scars and your wounds and your insecurities is the biggest fight of them all. It takes everything to tell the truth. Everything to tell the truth. And what I've chosen to do with my life is to create a sufficient condition, to create a safe fucking space for him to tell the truth with no judgment, no condemnation, no request, and no demand. That is how you do it. Now, it takes everything. don't care if it's with your brother or your boo or your baby. It takes everything because it's an unfair conversation. It's not a 50-50. It's not a 40-60. It's not a 30-70. It's a 0-100 some game. 100% him, 0% me. Do you understand that? Even when I started, when George got dead, and I wrote the first piece called All Lives Matter, it's in this string, it's in this note, it's in this thing, and it's in the notes here. When I wrote that, I said in that line, I said, I'm going to set aside my pain right now to take care of your wounds. And I meant that shit. I meant it with every ounce of blood in my body because I know I'm wounded. But I'm going to tell you this, sis, and I mean this, and I say this in love, and y'all walk me with this one, okay? I strongly believe that we have a gender bias against Black men in terms of our expectations of them being able to take care of us when they've never been taught. We're like, oh, you're a man, you should, why? You're a man, you should be able to, why? He went through the same shit. He was like I was, worse. So why do I have the expectation? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, why am I holding him to a white standard, a patriarchal, God help me, a patriarchal hierarchy of white civility when he was not afforded the same training and space to develop that? Because you see what I'm saying? So at least I would say unfortunately, I've had a bias against Black men because I had a picture in my mind that as a Black man, he should which was unfair to him. You see what I'm saying? It was unfair to him, right? So what I'm pointing to is, as a Black woman, okay? As a Black woman, and I'm gonna say this, and y'all just walk me through with this. I believe Black women are the most powerful motherfuckers on the planet. And I'll stand by that. I'll die. You can fight me on this if you want to, but you're gonna lose, okay? I say power is who we are. That's where I stand in it. I'm okay with that. You don't have to agree, but you can, all right? And I love what Beyonce, she said, my love was stronger than your pride. I love her for that because you have to love somebody enough to grow with them when they're wounded. My Nana caught me when I was out there in the street. She was the one who caught me. She was the one who loved me through it. And I was awful when I was out there. I was a hot mess. And it took years of her loving me and walking with me. And I was mean to her. I made her cry. And I still hurt. It hurts me that I was so hurt that I hurt her because I didn't believe she could love me. Do you see what I'm saying? So I understand it when Black men flex because they don't believe they're loved. They don't believe it. Their identity is outside of them, so they don't believe it. Do you understand? So what I have chosen to do as a lifestyle, not just with Black men, but with all people, but specifically right now with Black men, is I have trained myself to not go to them, to expect them to be able to hold me emotionally. Not yet. They have to earn that. I don't give it to them anymore. They have to earn that, Black woman. Did you feel me on that? If you want to be held emotionally, go to your fucking sisters. Not because of gender, but because we're the most educated. We get paid more. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying we have more time to be self-reflective. It's more functional. We had more time. They haven't had the time we've had to be self-reflective, right? Going to school is self-reflective. Reading books, self-reflective. Seminars, retreats, self-help, self-reflective. He's dodging fucking bullets. He's dealing with the fact that he's pissed off that his daddy died or his daddy left him. He's trying to figure out how the hell he's going to make any money when he can't get a job because he can't follow the rules that white people keep changing. Do you see what I'm saying? So he has a whole different set of circumstances, and I'm not suggesting high or low, I'm saying separate, that we don't account for. And I want you to be clear, I've learned that I have to be my own best thing. Now, he can't heal me. He can't heal me. I have to heal me. I can't put that on him. I don't even care what the hell it's gonna be my uncle. I don't care. I don't care which one. Any Black man in my life, it's not his job to heal me. It's not his job to take care of me. I got my own money. Get your own fucking money. I'm not saying you got to carry him, but if you put the weight of him taking care of you, his sense of self is at stake when he can't. Literally at stake. Like, Us with body image shit. You know what I'm saying? For the black, I can't think of a better word to say it. That's the best I got. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm pointing to is a level of emotional maturity, grace, and mercy that's required to love a black man in the midst of him being targeted to be dead because white supremacy is losing his fucking mind. Okay? I'm not saying it's fair. I'm saying it's powerful. I'm saying this. You are God wrapped in fucking flesh. Okay? You are the Alpha and the Omega. Until I die, I will say this shit to you, black woman. Every race has come from your gene pool. All right. And I don't care about anything except for you to know that you are the beginning and the end of it all. It starts and ends with you. It's not him. He's externally focused. His nexus is outside of him, which means what you say to him has more value than you could ever know. Your silence hurts him. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying I know how this shit works, right? What I'm pointing to is until you take on you, he won't have any space to heal him. Because he'll keep thinking he needs to heal you. And he doesn't have the equipment yet. But he can get it if there's a safe space. Okay? I'm stepping away from the mic. I'm stepping away from the mic. I'm falling back. 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 Take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Deep breath in through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Come on, God. Deep breath in through your nose. Come on, Venus. Exhale through your mouth. Okay. Okay, I'm falling back. 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 I don't want to talk you long. Okay. I don't want to take it too long. I want it to be, digestible, and I want it to be something that you can work through. All right. So I just want you to know I love you. You're doing great. I'm proud of you. This is not a simple conversation. It's complicated. I don't know about y'all. Let me know if I need to do another series. I need to, because there's other parts of it I want to get into, but I got to get the foundation in. You see what I'm saying? And this is foundational. And I'm talking to black women. I'm talking about black men and brothers. I love you for listening in and for allowing me to say my perspective. You don't have to take it on. I'm not putting anything on you. I'm just a person who thinks a lot. And this is my area of research. It's my shit. But specifically to my sisters, I say that it will be the healed black woman who transforms the world. And that is you. That is you. Okay. That is you all day, every day. So I need you to take you on. So there's some room for him. Okay. And you don't have to worry about changing him. He wants to change. He just doesn't have the tools. And I'm confident there's other things we could talk about, and I can't do it all here because I don't want to exhaust your ear. Okay. And I'll pray on it and I'll say, I may, but right now I just got to get the big chunks. I got to get the big pillars in. So when I start talking about it, we can have a frame of reference. Just know, black woman, that you are the way, the truth, and the light. You are God wrapped in flesh. You are the dreams of the ancestors. You are answered prayers to millions. You always have been, you always will be. And I love you with every ounce of blood in my body. I believe in you. I trust you. I know you can do this. I got you, and you're not alone. Okay. So be clear. I'm coming for you because I know who you are. And you are the answer to all of this. I mean, in terms of voting, I mean, in terms of black men emotionally maturing, I mean, in terms of our children not living in the world that we were raised in. It's you, boo. It's all you. It's always been you. It's always been you. My job is to get you to fucking stand. You see what I'm saying? For you, with you, and take you on the way you take on the people you love. Okay? So I'm falling back. If you were fed by this word, this life-giving word, please pay it forward, share it, tag, push it out, subscribe to my podcast. Let me feed you. Let me feed you. Okay? Don't make this the only time. Okay, that's all I got. I love you with my whole heart. This is Dr. Venus, your hot mess millionaire. And please remember this, my sweet sisters of success and the brothers who love us. You are worth so much more than you have ever been taught to believe. Ever. Historically, emotionally, spiritually, ever been taught to believe. You're worth so much more. And it's an honor to walk with you. I will talk to you soon. I love you with everything that I am. I love you. Goodbye for now.